You got to get the benchmark. If you don't have the benchmark, you're losing money every time. Every time. Okay? So you can kind of do the obvious, right? Like the first way is you can get a snapshot of their current stats, right? Right, so you could look at their AdWords account, you could look at their Bing account, or you could combine some data, you could really look into things and listen to some phone calls, and you could aggregate that all together to come up with what you thought was a fair price per qualified call. What's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? Ed says, feels like the first time I've been given truth. You guys better be joining me like freaking every single Wednesday after today's all out freaking webinar. I should have just charged you guys $500 to be here. Best webinar from you yet. Damn, Andre. The call only ad clowns are going down. Problem with this is Frankie is always here. You are always here. What's the problem with this right here? What's the problem with you going and rolling up your sleeves and getting a snapshot of their stats, right? And getting that benchmark, right? And the benchmark really, guys, is a qualified call. It's what you guys should be selling. And a qualified call should be 30 plus seconds unless the call hit voicemail. Why? Because you can't check for intent. Not everybody's going to leave voicemail, and you shouldn't get penalized for them not answering the phone. There's intent from the consumer for industry services, and they're in the, for me, I always sell territories as counties. They're in the county that the customer signed up for. Okay, and this could be multiple, but some are only one counties, right? So this is a qualified call. So at the end of the day, we're trying to get a benchmark for a qualified call, okay? So the first way that you could do it is based upon a snapshot of a customer's current stats. What's the problem with that? Come on, I need you guys thinking. What's the problem with that? You guys already told me that nobody has this shit set up, right? How many of the people that you talk to have call tracking set up? How many of them are using dynamic keyword insertion, right? How many of them are using dynamic referrer tracking, right? The data isn't accurate, or they have no freaking data. Can I get a 0 from everybody in the chat that you guys get this? Right? Like, and if you tried to do number 1, you would have all kinds of problems getting it done, right? They wouldn't let you do it. They'd just be standing in the way. And if they actually let you do it, you should charge a whole lot of money for that. Give me a 0 if that makes sense. Give me a 0. Yeah. All right. So there's no data. Right? Problem with this is that there is no data based on their current stats. They're not tracking the fucking right things. Right? So the other way, how many of you guys know the answer to this? Because you've been on the AMAs, you guys have been paying attention, you guys have actually heard me talk about the correct way to sell pay-per-call. I answered this in the last couple of weeks, by the way, folks, but nobody fucking saw it. You're not paying attention. What's the right way to do this? What's the right way to benchmark? Yeah, Isaiah Adams, you got it, brother. All right, so the correct way to do this, we run a 30-day test. Okay. This is the way that we do it. Okay, we run a 30-day test. They cover spend. Okay, for the ads. We cover setup. Setup and testing for the 30 days. So this is what we do. We pitch them a 30-day test. And guys, I will give you guys the details on exactly how to pitch this. I just need you guys to understand that this is the way to benchmark and high level how we're going to do this. Once you understand that, give me a 1 in the chat and we will move on. I will not move on until you guys get this, okay? So the way that we benchmark is we run a 30-day test, okay? They cover Google ad spend, okay? We set up the account, okay? We set up the account, we set up all the ads, we run the testing, and we manage that thing for 30 days for free. They just cover Google ad spend. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 if that makes sense, please. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yes, paid ads. They pay the ad spend, Larry. All right, lots of 1s. Looks like everybody's got it. All right. So Isaiah has a good question. He says, so if I already have sites ranking and generating calls, I need to scrap that for now and offer the 30-day trial, right? Yes, you are correct. So this is how you're going to qualify people, is you're going to take them through this benchmark test. Okay, the benchmark test is going to let you know if they're a good customer, how they work with you, right? Do they pay, Google on time, right? And you're going to get an acceptable price at the end of the day. You're going to have Google stats. How many of you guys have sold a pay-per-call deal and you become the enemy? Give me a 2 if you become the enemy. It's just too expensive, man. I'm getting leads for better prices everywhere else, and man, you're killing me. I need this for my business, but I got to get better quality, and I just can't pay as much. And you're the enemy, right? Yeah. So you know how to not be the enemy? You benchmark. Right? We're going to let Google be the enemy. We're going to let Google be the enemy. We're going to get the benchmark from Google. Okay, and at the end of the 30-day test, we're going to show them, right? We're going to boil down with them how much a qualified call was. I'm going to repeat that. Once the 30 days is over, okay, we're going to break down the stats for them.